Welcome to our show again, everyone. Abductions 101, UFOs and the Paranormal Connection. I'm your co-host, Leslie Shaw.
I'm Stephen Shaw.
Welcome again. Tonight we're going to share one of Stephen's experiences. He's had two interventions in his life that he believed possibly saved his life, and some sort of spiritual being. And go ahead and take it away, dear.
This was the springtime of 2000. I was driving my pickup and I ran out of gas just about 100 feet from my office and in the middle of the road about noon time. And I got out of my truck and I was trying to push it in up the driveway from the middle lane. And I just didn't know at the time I had a heart aneurysm. But anyways, I was having just a little bit of effect moving it. And then all of a sudden this guy appeared out of nowhere with these big wild eyes, opened the side door and said, "Ramming speed, Captain," with this kind of crazy look in his face. A white guy about the same size as me. And then we pushed the truck into the gas station. And I was huffing and puffing and I turned around to thank the guy and nowhere to be found. Okay, this is, like I said, this is just bizarre.
And you could have burst this aneurysm you have and died on the spot.
Oh, so I'm a walking time bomb.
You really were at risk. And so this creature, this entity just appeared and possibly saved his life.
Yeah, and it certainly wasn't like on the astral plane. This was a physical being that could push a 2,000-pound vehicle.
Push a car. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks, dear. Okay. And we'll be back soon with our wonderful guest. Welcome back, everyone, to our show, Abductions 101, UFOs and the Paranormal Connection. Our wonderful guest tonight is Nadalee Hill. We met so many wonderful people at Contact in the Desert, and Nadalee is one of them. Nadalee is an experiencer of 17 years with 1.5 years of direct contact. She'll explain that to us later. She is a representative of the Real Galactic Federation, a founder and CEO of the United Experiencers Initiative, and is a founding member of the Hollywood Disclosure Alliance. Welcome, Nadalee.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys, and I can't wait to dive into all this stuff because I have so much to say, as always.
Us too. Stephen is the main experiencer. I have seen 2 UFOs, but he's the one that's actually been abducted, and his family were abducted.
A lot of crossovers.
Yeah. And when I was listening, I listened to one of your podcasts you sent me a link to. Yeah. And that was fascinating, and we want to definitely get into all of that tonight. Where did it all start for you?
Well, so here's the thing. There was different moments in my life where it was kind of like when you're going down a hill and you get pushed faster and faster, right? So there was a few different moments in my life that were turning points. So here's the thing. My whole life, I felt different. I felt like I was here to do something. Like I knew I was going to help the world somehow. I knew in my heart that aliens existed. Back then, I couldn't tell you why, but I just knew. I'd even find myself looking at the sky when I was in the car, like when I was little and I couldn't look out the window. I'd find myself looking for UFOs and stuff, you know. But I had my most extreme encounter when I moved here to Tennessee, and that's when my whole life started to change. It was December 23rd, 2008. It was midday, and I was outside, and I was filming the south with my camera on the tripod, and I look over towards the west, and I see a flying saucer. It's literally like 400 feet away from me, about 20 to 30 feet wide, and it had a flat bottom and a dome top. It was gray, and I tell you, like, it was like time stood still. It was absolutely insane, but it was surreal. It was so surreal, and I couldn't really think too much in that moment. It was more like I felt they knew I was staring at them, and I felt them staring back at me, and we knew we were staring at each other. And I finally snapped out of it, and I whipped my camera around on my tripod, and they zoomed away like quickly, like in a blink of an eye. And I caught them. I didn't realize it until I reviewed the footage later. I had caught them on camera in the distance as a little silver dot. They had sped away directly away from the camera. And that's
And they're so fast when they
Yeah.
speed away. It's
You were
It pretty
able to retrieve that footage then.
yes, yes. That's on my old YouTube channel. I sent you that link earlier, and we can put that in the post edit if you want. If you're looking at it right now, it's pretty cool.
Thank you. I was looking at a bunch of you have a really lot of good footage on your disc there.
Thank you. It's an agreement between me and the Federation, and it's like if they show up, I show them to the world, and I do my job here to represent the Federation and teach the world all kinds of things to help humanity. So yeah.
Yeah, I also never felt like I belonged here. I mean, I have a very specific incident when I was 3 years old at Shadow Ranch Park. It was a nice spring morning, maybe like around 11 o'clock, and I was playing in the sand by the big concrete turtle, and there were other kids that were playing over by the other, concrete turtle type of thing, and I had this very specific memory of, I'm 3 years old, right, and I was thinking, oh God, I have to go through this again. It's like,
life,
it's like, it's like, because I was born basically, I almost died a few times. I was born basically sick. I was born sick into this world. And, and then my first, like I say, I recall my first experiences where I was being visited in the middle of the night was when I was 3 years of age. So
I think Stephen might also be a starseed. He's able to remember
to 1.5
back to like 1 year old and
1.5 for sure.
And he was able to play music by ear. He fooled everyone into thinking that he knew how to read music, but
I was in class.
But he just it was brilliant. They were able to pick it up immediately by ear.
But when I had to play something for the first time, reading it, I couldn't play it because I hadn't heard the song. So.
And then, of course, there's the abduction experiences. With him, it was the whole family. How about you? Did other members of your family have the same experiences?
That's a good question. And also, reverting back to what you said before, you said, you had experiences when you were younger. Turns out I had experience when I was 2, but I didn't realize that until I did a hypnotic regression session. But when it comes to family, I've tried to speak to my mom about it, but she's always got busy, or she's always got something to do, or she don't want to talk about it. I don't want to speak for her publicly because I know this podcast is probably going to be viewed by a lot of people.
Yeah.
But let's just say she saw something. She saw one thing at the end of her bed one time that she told me about, but I don't want to speak on her behalf. That's all I'm going to say. But I think they're really good at suppressing her memory. And as for further back than that, I do believe it comes from my mom's side, absolutely. But as further back than that, I don't know. I know my papa was a preacher, and he felt a calling to help humanity in that way. But so other than that, I don't really know, and I'm not really in touch with my family too much. So yeah.
So you've regressed some of your experiences to where you have memories of them. That's correct, right?
Yes.
I wish that was the case with Stephen. We haven't been able to break through the block to the blackout periods yet. But please tell us about that.
It's probably not time yet for Stephen. Then everything that's what the Federation tells me. They say you're supposed to know I got to say it right. You're only to know what you need to know when you need to know it. So yeah, the only thing that I've dug up from the regression session is when I was 2 years old. I was in my bed, and the room got really, really cold. And this recording is on my TikTok and I believe on my YouTube as well. And we'll put those in the description. So I was in my bed, and the room got cold. I remember all of this came back to me in the session, and I hid under the covers because I felt like there was something coming into the room. And in my mind, I seen this entity, like a gray, coming through the window and like phased through the wall and the window. It was a small window, so it like phased through the window and the wall. And in my mind, I felt this entity standing in my room, and I was just so scared. I was curled up in the little fetal position. And then he reached out to me. I felt him reaching out to me in my mind. I was very sensitive as a child. I could like sense things and all kinds of stuff. But I remember in the session that he reached out to me and had a light in his hand, and it just grew brighter and brighter. And then the next thing I know, I'm on the ship, and I'm like, this is really hard to explain. I felt like I was out of body, right? It wasn't my physical body. Like they took my soul, my essence, onto the ship, but I felt like part of me was my 2-year-old self, and a part of me was my higher self. And then there was these grays standing around me. I was on this table, and these grays walked up to me, and they were like opening up a portal around my heart chakra, and they were like pouring information into me. And then this woman comes up. She's she's pale white skin, pale white hair, big black eyes, but she's smiling and got white robes, and just sending me so much love and care, and like she felt like a midwife and like my mom. And she just looked over me, and she told me a lot of things, but the key things were they were so proud of me, and that I would not remember this until I was older. And that's because they wanted me to learn how to play, how to be a child, to imagine. They didn't want to disrupt my whole process of living. So they pretty much told me that I'm here to do something great, and they're proud of me, and they're very thankful. But you can watch anybody can watch that whole regression session. It's public. But after that, I blacked out, and I went back into my body, and like I just was back in my body. And then I woke up like afraid, and I was like, I ran to my mom's room, and I was like, I slept with her ever since till like I was, I don't know, 6 years old. I was afraid of the dark. I was afraid of windows, open windows. So all of that came from that. And anything with eyes, anything with like stuffed animals or anything with eyes, I had to turn them around. So the key point here to take away from this is just because you have traumatizing experience, right, doesn't mean that it was completely traumatizing. It was just your mind remembered a certain parts
Right.
of it, and you fill in the blanks. But of course, maybe not everyone, it's like that. But anyone listening, if you have had experiences, I urge you to go get hypnotic regression therapy done by a professional, and it will change your life. 99% of the time, you will remember something positive.
We were lucky to meet a regression therapist at Contact in the Desert, and we're going to try and get Stephen properly regressed. If he's, like as you say, ready to share that experience with the public. I think, or with his therapist. I mean, but I'm really anxious to find out, what was happening to him in those blackout periods.
Yeah, my brother and I had the same experience several years apart when we were living in Woodland Hills. I saw my first, like I'd say you call strange alien or whatever you call it, when I was about 7 years old. They appeared as 5 garden gnomes walking into my bedroom, about maybe a foot tall, and they were just like looking around, the typical like garden gnome type thing with the silly hats, and they were shimmery, and I cleared my eyes, and I was on a bunk bed, and I looked at them, and then once they noticed that I noticed them, they kind of froze in place, and they looked at me, and I just kind of chickened out, and I turned over, said, please go away. And when my brother, when he was alive, he was 6 years younger than me, so when he turned the same age, he started sleeping in our closet, and he did that for 2 years. And I asked Philip, I said, Philip, why are you sleeping in the closet? And he said, well, I'm afraid of the little men that come at night. So my brother, he was on the bottom part of the bunk bed. But he was seeing the same thing that I saw at the same age. We're in a family. We really didn't talk about this stuff. This was the family spirit guide that had been with the family bloodline for 4 generations, called Glegly, going back to Germany and England. So it's kind of like from the mother's side, all the women in my family have been automatic writers. Every single one of them.
That's
apart
amazing.
From one that basically said she didn't want to do it. She could do it, but she didn't want to do it. It was just freaked her out too much.
Kind of creepy to her,
So I know what you're saying, that there is genetic, whether we get into the Anunnaki later or whatever, there is some genetic meaning here.
We can get into that
Connections.
too. I have some information to share on that. I actually came out publicly with that because the government and some whistleblowers were starting to come out and
Yeah.
talk about starseeds slash what I'm calling type 2 hybrids, because so here's the thing. I have classified everyone and everything, all of us, into different classifications of hybrids. Type 1 is all of humanity, like the average, human. Type 2
Right.
are people who have more alien genetics than others, people who have been taken their whole life, usually. There's a whole other list of characteristics that I'll go through maybe in another time, but
Sure.
but it's like 15 different key points, but I'll go over the important things. So here's the thing. It takes 4 generations for the ETs to alter the family line's genetics for a certain soul to inhabit a body. And then when that body is perfected, that body will host a soul that has come here to do a job. And every starseed's body is specifically designed for a task. Like me, I am designed to be a public speaker, to speak, to retain all this knowledge, and be a guiding light for all of us and a voice. So that's my job, right? So another starseed's job may be to run a garden for a community, or save people, and like there's different jobs that we have. But I think the thing is, we have information locked away in our brain that we don't even know we have. And another common question is like how do I know if I'm a starseed? And some people don't realize that they are until the time is right. And you may not know, and it may not be meant for you to wake up and realize that, like, maybe something happened, or like your higher self agreed to, abandon the mission. But that's a whole nother topic. So here's the thing. We don't claim to be better than anybody else. We never will. There's a whole background thing, a supremacy thing going on, talking about the Aryan race and all that. I'm actually writing a full article blog, or not a blog, but a full article paper on how the information of starseeds is actually embedded in ancient texts, and how it got twisted by certain individuals, and especially the Nazis. So I'm gonna
the Thule
publish that.
Society and
Thule
those
Society,
guys.
especially, yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys.
I can't wait to publish that paper for everyone. But anyway, so there's us type 2s, and you've got type 3s, which is our children, the hybrid children, the extra hybrid children. So they take our DNA, type 2 DNA, and they combine it with a full-blooded ET, and they create our children. Now, I have 2 that I know of. I have 2 hybrid children. Yes.
Wow, really? Tell us all about them.
So yeah, I can tell you about the first time I met my hybrid child. I call her Nova. I don't know if that's her name, but I call her Nova. So she was actually standing right here. This is the very spot that she stood. So here's the story. I was in my bed and asleep, as one usually does, unless they have insomnia. I'm a heavy sleeper. But I was woke up in the middle of the night, and I felt this tiny little hand just like do this, like clasp my fingers. And then I woke up, I look over at her, and I'm just like in shock. And she's like shining bright, and she's like pale white skin, pale white hair, black eyes, a little bit bigger than humans, but not too big, like, but
Right.
she
The slightly hybrid look to the kids.
Yeah. And she was just giving me so much love and just so much calm energy, and I couldn't really react too much. That was the thing. Like every time I encountered these beings, they always keep me docile. Like I can't move too much, and they just give me just a good amount of movement to not freak out, and But as she was holding my hand, I started tossing and turning for like 5 seconds or so, and it was like she was pulling something out of me through my arm, and it was like some trauma or something tied to a past life that got carried over. That's what I've figured it was. That's what it felt like. But after that, she said in my mind, she said, "I'm here to help you, and we're going to keep helping you." And then I passed out in the bed. And then I woke up in the morning, and it took me a minute when I woke up, and I was like, wait a minute. That happened last night, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And ever since then, I felt like she was my daughter. Like there's this connection between me and her. I just feel like I'm her mother.
I think it's funny that you're known on TikTok as Nebula, and
Yeah.
Your daughter is Nova.
I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I picked up
Noticed
on that right away. Yeah.
Good job, guys.
I forgot to mention that in your in when I introduced you that your handle on TikTok is Nebula.
I had an experience just 2 weeks ago in the bedroom. I was floating above my body slightly, my astral body, and I was in the room. I was fully aware that I was in the room. About 5 o'clock in the morning, and there was this little entity, maybe about 2.5 feet tall, with a slightly Asian, feminine voice that was talking to me, and it was at my left side, and it was very intelligible, and I was trying to listen to it, and I didn't feel scared, but I just felt like, don't bother me right now. So I kind of swatted it a couple times with my left hand. It didn't go away. Came back, started talking to me again. Then I swatted again. Then I came back down to my body. I mean, these things, like for you and I, they're not unusual. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, about 6 months before that, I had gotten into bed about 11 o'clock at night, and I felt this other being get into bed with me. It wasn't Leslie. She was still watching TV, and I just was laying on my back trying to get to sleep, and it said into my ear, not in my head, but in my ear on the right side, it said, "Husband." Just in a very, again, it was an Asian feminine voice, but it was even tone. And I thought,
Yeah.
okay, whatever you want to do, fine. So I rolled over and I just ignored it. But it was just like, it was, like I tell people this, a lot of people think I'm just like, oh, you're imagining, you're dreaming, but
Yeah, we all get that.
It's different. It's different.
Yeah, it's different.
Natalie, when you were talking in that podcast, you said something about dream contact and
the knocking
and the knocking. Yes, we that really just resonated with me because Stephen gets this constantly, and I've always thought that sometimes they take you physically, and sometimes they're just taking your astral body.
Yes.
And that's what you're experiencing the same, right?
Yeah, I've experienced both of those.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that again, where they vibrate. It vibrates, right?
The humming that you hear and you feel.
Yes. So here's how it works. So when they take your physical body, it takes a little bit more effort, and it's easier for you to get like damaged, and that's why they don't like to take your physical body, because they have to vibrate all of your molecules and all of your essence, like your whole quantum signature of your whole being. They have to increase your frequency for you to be able to be on the ships, because within the ships is a higher frequency. So for instance, if you encounter a craft, or if you go onto a craft and it's not scheduled, and it's like if you sneak onto a craft and they don't see you for some reason, which they probably will, but for instance, if you're not vibrating at the right frequency, you will get radiation. You will get all kinds of different like bruises and burns and stuff like that. So they have to vibrate your body at the right frequency for you to be able to be on the ships. Now, it's kind of the same thing when they vibrate your essence out of you. They just lock onto your soul, your essence, your quantum signature, and they vibrate it at a certain frequency, and they disconnect it from the body temporarily. You still have that silver cord, but they like take you, like scoop you out, like taking like a scoop of ice cream. They scoop you out. Just imagine the ice cream scooper is vibrating at the right frequency to dig down in there, and then they scoop you out and they take you up on the ship.
That makes so much sense. Myself being a musician, I mean, for me, vibration is the whole key. I mean, I have the gift where, where I can hear any note. Doesn't matter who's singing it, and I can repeat that perfectly.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have that ability to do that. That's why I got away with things when I was an accordion student. I was in class, and I got away with it for 6 months. I didn't have any clue about how to read music. Just because I could replicate it,
Yeah.
It wasn't my idea to become an accordionist. It was my mom, because she really loved the Lawrence Welk show. So, so anyway, it was like,
I love that so much. There's some other stuff I wanted to go over before we continue. Some stuff I forgot to mention.
Sure.
So let's rewind back to type 2 hybrids, like we mentioned earlier, how certain bodies have to be genetically altered to inhabit certain souls that are here to do something. Now, some other characteristics of type 2s, a lot. The biggest question I get, okay, everybody listen up, because this is the biggest question if you're listening. RH negative blood. If you have Rh negative blood, it does not automatically make you a type 2 / starseed. But you don't have to have it either if you're a type 2. So it's like, just throw it out the window at this point. It's not an all tell all, side effect or symptom.
No, our data shows about 4 in 10 abductees are Rh negative.
Yeah, so it's like a 50-50. So that's why I say don't really dwell on that fact.
Right.
But the other big characteristics are a lot of us, not all of us, but a lot of us are neurodivergent and ADHD, and we have we can take in more stuff, and but we also have sensitivities to the environment, chemicals, foods, medicines. Our body doesn't react well to certain things. Sometimes we affect electronics like x-ray machines, and we fry our debit cards. I've done that many times. And I fried a microwave. So we do have a extra energy field around us as well. But one of the biggest things, the tall tale signs, like to tell if you're a starseed or a type 2 hybrid, is, do you feel a calling to do something? Do you feel like you're from somewhere else? Do you feel strange here, like you're not supposed to be here? Those are all the really good signs to tell if you're a type 2 hybrid. Now, there are certain genetic markers, but the government has that data. I don't have that data yet, and it probably won't be public until after disclosure. But I know a lot of people are getting caught up on like, oh, am I a type 2 hybrid? Am I type 1 or 2? Here's the thing. You are a being. You are a soul. It doesn't matter if you're a type 1 or type 2. The only thing that matters is, do you feel a calling to do something? And whether you're a type 2 or not, act on that calling. Help humanity in whatever way you want. Just love yourself and love others. That's the key. We're not trying to push people into a spiral of like self, I see it constantly now that I came out publicly for all starseeds, and I'm getting so many questions and people wondering. I'm like, just relax, okay? Take it, just go along for the ride.
Take a breath.
You are, just relax. But anyway, let's continue. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, my calling for sure turned out to be being an acupuncturist and a Chinese herbalist and a Tai Chi teacher. And actually, I became I was a Tai Chi teacher first. The old saying is like, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. That's exactly what happened to me when I was 17. And as an outgrowth of that, I became attracted to the idea of acupuncture. But for me, originally I was thinking, I have to be a chiropractor first. And I was teaching a class, and I told the two of the women, I'm thinking about going to chiropractic college. And they said, well, we heard that. We were kind of disappointed. And I thought, well, that's kind of strange. I'm 23, 24 years old at the time. And they said, well, you would make a much better acupuncturist. I had never really thought about it. But then I went to both different colleges, and guess what? It was just like a duck going to water. I mean, acupuncture was like, I just knew things other people didn't know.
Yep, and that's another sign, is you have knowledge from other past lives. That's why your body is designed the way it is, so you can channel in those abilities automatically. And we have more psychic abilities right off the bat. And, Yep.
There's definitely a psychic connection to the abduction phenomenon, and it makes me think that must be one of their criteria for requirements. Like, Luis Elizondo came out in his new book, and he said they did PET scans and MRI scans of abductees and discovered they have the same kind of brains as people with ESP.
And remote viewing.
Yeah, and so that clicked and made a lot of sense. Like, okay, that's the... There's definitely a psychic connection.
Yeah, now there's a physiological correlation they've actually found.
Yep.
And almost every abductee I met, they were either a medium or a psychic healer, or somehow they had a psychic connection.
Yes, I am really, really psychic. I've been practicing my remote viewing. I've actually started practicing mind reading, like having people think of objects and things, and I'll pick up on the details, and then I'll get the object like 90% of the time, which is really cool. I didn't know I could do that. But but a lot of people get caught up in the psychic thing, and they're like, oh, it's powers. It's, you can't let the ego take over.
Right.
You can't let it take over. You have to use these abilities for good. Okay. And if you try to use them for bad, the universe will It will bounce back.
They'll slap you down.
That's
Yeah.
right. And your abilities will go right out the window and you got to start back from scratch. So stay humble and stay divine.
And, the when we were studying with the Gnostics, doing Kundalini raising practices, they taught us that the heart chakra is the chakra for astral projection. And as we started vibrating the heart chakra a lot, you end up loving. You can't stop loving everything. You love
Right.
every fellow,
Yes.
your fellow man and every animal in the world. And
It's like being on
ecstasy.
organic ecstasy.
ecstasy or something all the time,
I 100%
And so
agree.
And so your mission for the Federation is very much linked to people tapping into that, I believe, right? Can you
Yes.
explain that more, please?
Yes, absolutely. My specific mission here on the planet as a starseed is to establish the United Experiencers Initiative. Now, the United Experiencers Initiative is a movement. It's going to be an international nonprofit, and once we get established, get our 501c3. But it's a movement, first of all, to encourage experiencers to come forward so we can have a voice, to give you a podium, so to speak. It's time that we stand up and speak our truths without having to be afraid of people, making fun of us and tearing us down. And we are disclosure. Everybody's waiting on the government, right? Waiting on the government to say this and that. The government lies. Yes, there are good whistleblowers, but there's also other bad whistleblowers that muddy the water. And everybody's like, who do we believe? Who do we believe? Believe the experiencers. Listen to the experiencers, read books, talk to experiencers, join meetings, join groups, speak to us. We have the information that you guys seek. Look into the databases. Look into the questionnaires. We are here and we can connect the dots for you. And I was thinking about making this quiz. I've started actually working on it, to where you take the quiz and it tells you how much more do you have to learn. Like, it'll tell you your level that you're on right now. I think that's really important. Yeah.
I think you're making a very, very valid point that I want our audience to really key on. This is that, yes, if you're looking for disclosure, we got to start looking to the people that are, genuine experiencers, and
Yes.
this is going to be the key. It'll be a critical mass, and it will at a certain point, it's going to happen. It has
That's right.
to.
That's right. And here's some. I want to mention these things here before we move on. This is very important. There was a questionnaire done of 5,000 experiencers. You guys are going to love this. So only 11% had negative experiences with gray aliens out of 5,000. 29% positive, 59% neutral. Source table 9. Oh, sorry. Do you believe that ETs are bad or malevolent or evil? 91% said no. 9% said yes. And then became more psychic than I was before. 58% agreed, 18% disagreed, 24% no opinion. So, yeah.
A net positive all the way around. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, sorry, but did we need to take our first 10-second break?
Yes.
Okay. Just for our
That's fine.
editors.
Yes,
And I'll
thanks.
talk
Thanks
to-
for reminding me.
Okay.
So we'll be back in just a moment with our wonderful guest, Nadalee Hill. And just stay tuned.
Leslie, you're kidding me.
What?
Our merchandise store is up?
Of course, my darling. All of our amazing concepts of shirts, mugs, and bumper stickers are ready to go.
No way.
Way.
Even my brilliant Egyptian concept that no one else ever thought of before?
Yes, that one too, and lots more. All at our new store at etsy.com/shop/abductions101.
Wow. I want a shirt and a mug and...
Well, Stephen, and all our curious listeners, just go to etsy.com/shop/abductions101 to see all of our unique designs.
I'm going there.
Hello, everyone in TikTok land out there. Thank you so much for watching. I love all of you so much. Wow, we've got 40 people watching, and this is I forgot Ooh, I forgot to hit subscriber live only. I said I was going to do subscriber live only today, and I forgot to do that properly. That's my bad. Oh well, I'll do
So
something.
we're on TikTok at the same time as
That's right.
live, huh? Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I have 44 people watching behind the scenes right now.
I think that's a first for us, actually.
That's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. If you guys want to check out an awesome podcast, check out Abductions 101. These guys, Leslie and Steven, they're amazing.
Thank you. We're on GnosticTV.com. That's where you can find us.
There you go.
Yeah, we're not on like Spotify and all the other kind of things. Wherever we're all inside our network. Yeah.
Our documentary is on 5 different platforms.
Yeah, they have a whole documentary. I've yet to sit down and watch the whole thing. How long is it? It's like 2 hours.
54 minutes.
54 minutes.
And it's called Who They Are. It's on
I'll watch
YouTube.
it. I'll watch it tonight. Actually, I got some free time. I'll watch
That's cool.
Very nice.
Let's see. I'm sorry, I had a question in my head, and I think it zipped out of there.
Are we ready to start back?
Yes, let's start back. And
we're talking about statistics.
Welcome back, everyone, to our Abductions 101, UFOs and the Paranormal Connection. Nadalee is our guest tonight, Nadalee Hill. And we're also on TikTok at the same time. I forgot that she was going to live stream us this interview as well. That's really cool. Nadalee is Nebula on TikTok, right?
Correct.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
So we're just talking about statistics and about the people meeting the Greys and their opinions about the Greys and aliens and the experience. Did you have anything else you want to add to that?
Would you like to hear about my second abduction from last year?
Yes, please.
Are you kidding?
So this is my favorite one that I like to talk about. I know I'm skipping the first one and the last one, but this one I really think
a favorite is more important. I'd say.
So I actually have images. I provided you those images. You can put them in the post edit again as well. Okay. So here's the story. It was about a year ago, and I went to the dentist, and they had to put me asleep with anesthesia because that dentist they only did anesthesia, so they had to take some teeth out. So the next following week or so, I was feeling really groggy and really tired. Like the anesthesia really messed my head up. And as a type 2 hybrid, we know that our bodies don't react well to different medicines and chemicals and stuff. So I asked the Federation. I was in contact with them at this time. And I asked them, I said, can you please do something? I love you guys so much, and I know you want me to complete the mission and do live streams. And I was like, I can't do these live streams. I can't do podcasts. I can't do talks and educate people. And I was like, I need some help. Something is going on in my brain. So that night I went to sleep, and I woke up in the morning with 2 red grid patterns on my back. And later I found out it's called the red grid mark phenomenon. So the marks didn't sting, they didn't burn, I didn't even feel them, I didn't even know they were there until my girlfriend.
I saw those pictures. It looked like almost like a boot print on your back or something, right?
It did, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah. And it lasted for 5 days, and it slowly turned into a sunburn, a light sunburn, and faded away. Now, when I woke up with the marks, that whole day, I felt amazing, like I could run a marathon. And even after that, it just kind of tapered off into my normal life after a while. But for like a whole week, I felt really energized and amazing. So that first day, when I went back home and got ready for bed, I was like, okay, I need to know what happened. Because I was like, I know you guys did something. I know it was you. This is like too insane.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Yeah. So I laid down and I went to sleep. Next thing I know, my awareness, it's like a memory come back while I was asleep, like it was happening, right? I was laying on a white table in a white room. The walls are curved, everything's smooth, light coming from everywhere. Beautiful light. Oh my gosh. It's so captivating. Like it's just so much love. But I was on a table and I couldn't really look to my left or right too much. And I had a tube in my right nostril and a tube in my right ear. And it was almost like I could sense it too. I could feel it, something in my nose, and I felt something in my ear, but it was almost like I could sense what it was. I knew what it was. but I could look down at the end of the bed, right? So I looked down and I saw 4 or 5 beings standing there, all dressed in blue, a little bit darker than this, and they had blonde hair. They were all male. And collectively, in my mind, they said, "Shh, it's okay." But I couldn't see their faces clearly because they probably left my glasses back in my room. But I do believe they were Pleiadians, and I was so thankful when I woke up with that memory. I was just like, "Oh my God, it's just." I know people don't believe me, and it's fine, but you're gonna find out that these beings are very, very real, and they've been spotted by many of us throughout history. And I've actually met 2 of them. Like, okay, so I met them on the ships. I met them in my room, standing beside my couch.
Right.
I woke up one night and they were just one standing there, and I was just like, open my eyes, and I'm like, oh, hi. And it was a male, and then I couldn't wake up all the way, and I just went back to sleep. I felt like he was protecting me or like guarding me, and I was like, okay, I feel safe, and I went back to sleep. So I met them in my room. I met them on the ships. I met them in my dreams. They come to me like once every 1 to 2 months. They come to my dreams. Sometimes they speak to me, or sometimes they're just smiling at me, checking on me. But here's the kicker. You remember Contact in the Desert? That's where we met, right?
Right.
Correct.
I met 2 Pleiadian beings at Contact in the Desert in person.
I would have loved to have known you better at that time.
Yes, he would have liked to have seen them too.
Yeah, they were actually standing in that hallway where your booth was. They were in that very hallway, and I don't know if everyone could see them. I know a few people saw them as well, but I think they only let a few people see them or notice them. Like they can psychically suppress people around them to not see them. So only
we've known that suppression of consciousness for many years. In Steve's case,
Did you? Were they both male, or was it a male and a female? Because there was this one couple that we saw that I felt was like, they're kind of odd, but this is like, they look almost like
I was
European to a certain extent.
No, Starseed in the family, if there is one.
No, they were both female.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and that's another important thing about Pleiadians is most of the time they do travel in pairs. It's
and Pleiadians aren't the Nordics, right? The ones people are calling the Nordics, right?
That's right. Blonde hair.
Who's in charge? See, I know it sounds silly, but usually in a hierarchy like a federation, there's somebody in charge, and I always thought like the Nordics were maybe the ones most in charge because they're the ones that met with Byrd and they met with Eisenhower, and so. Are the Nordics in charge? And then other people think the Mantids are in charge. Who's in charge?
Okay, that's a really good question, and no one's ever asked me that. That's a really good question. So let's get into that. So here's the thing. There's not like a hierarchy of like who's in charge, right? Everyone has different tasks within the Federation. Certain races are better at certain things. Like the Mantis beings are better at genetic manipulation and giving out tasks. Same thing with the tall grays are good at giving out tasks as well. But the mantises are very sought after for genetic experiments and genetic hybridization projects. All of our type 2 hybrid bodies were designed by, or the whole project was ran by the mantis beings. Are
they also the Anunnaki then? Because the Anunnaki are described as ant people by the Hopi and frequently have a look kind of insectoid in the artwork.
Sometimes, yes,
that we see,
or lizard-like.
That's interesting that you say that, but I think a lot of history and everything's getting mixed up. I don't know exactly who the Anunnaki are, and I don't think they are part of the Federation, but I could be wrong. They haven't given me direct information about that area. But here's the thing, when it comes to hierarchy, like who's in control, we all collectively make decisions as a whole. It's like a kind of like a hive mind. Everybody knows exactly what needs to be done, when it needs to be done. It's like we're all connected through God's source consciousness. So it's like there are councils. There are multiple councils within the Federation, and they make group decisions, and then those groups take all their decisions, and then they come together and make a decision. It's like a fractal work, right? It fractals and it goes back down into a central decision. So it's like a group effort. It's not like like a hierarchy, like a pyramid. It's more like a circle where everybody does their part. It's like a perfectly well-oiled machine.
And their goal, especially like with the hybridization process, this hybrid breeding program, is it to kind of bring us up to higher levels? Is that I kind of see that as maybe their goal, right? Mm-hmm.
There may be one of the aspects to the hybrids. The only knowledge that I was given and that I've collected from other data points is that the reason that the type you're talking about type 3 hybrids, am I correct? Like our children? Okay.
Right.
So they are being created as a failsafe. So we're going very, very soon, between now and 2027, we're going to be going through a fork in the road, so to speak. Now we could go down the road where the earth goes to hell and the life is just like the planet, the trees, the environment is just like it's wrecked. It's completely wrecked. And then the earth will take time to heal, but there will be catastrophes that will cleanse the planet of most, if not all, the population of humanity. And if we go down that route, the hybrids will come in and live on the planet and replace humans. But it's not like they're trying to, cause these destructions so they can replace you. It's nothing like that. We're trying our best so we don't go down that route. The other route, the positive route, is that we all live together, and you'll get to meet my hybrid children, and I'll get to meet your hybrid children, and we'll all just live together happily. That's the route that we want to go down, that we're trying to get you guys to understand out there. If you're listening here, we love you so much, and we're giving you every opportunity. We're giving you the helping hand here. It's time for you to listen and reach back out to us. By loving yourself and loving others, you will heal the planet from the inside out. Your collective consciousness, your collective chakras affects the planet as a whole.
Yes, absolutely. In fact,
and you're part of this breeding program too, right? Because you have a Nova, because of Nova, right?
You have two children.
2. The other one is like a Pleiadian gray hybrid mixed with my DNA.
Yeah. We're hearing from different sources that when women sometimes come back from the ships having coddled their babies, their hybrid babies, somebody accidentally noticed that when they stand under a black light, wherever the baby was touching them, they're fluorescing slightly, like as if there's some bioluminescence. And you were talking about Nova as kind of glowing. I was wondering, is that something that they have? Is like a bioluminescent quality?
I never really made that connection. I've never heard of that before. So that's very interesting. The light that I encountered, I felt it was more like a spiritual, like a vibrational light. I don't think it was more like a black light. Though I do have purple LEDs, as you can see, all around the room. So that may have played a factor, but they're very, very low. They're not really bright. But in my heart and from my experience, I could tell you it was more like an angelic light, like a frequency spiritual light than it was a fluorescent light. But they may be kind of linked together.
Philip, Stephen's brother Philip saw a tall gray alien in his bedroom one time.
When he was 16.
And then blacked out almost immediately after. So we figured out that, pretty early on that the grays, the tall grays, were kind of like the family handlers in his case,
Well, yeah. I mean, the same entity's been seen for 4 generations.
But Stephen's, what I want to ask you about is, in one of Stephen's experiences, we think they opened like a portal into the living room of where he was sleeping and filled the whole room with this blue-white light. And then the entity itself seemed to be glowing with blue-white light, although it seemed to be the shape of a tall gray.
About 6.5 feet tall and skinny.
And so we're wondering, was he seeing it in the astral plane? Is this something they do to it? How do they appear to people this way? Or
that's a good question. I can explain that.
Let's do.
So if You don't have to be a type 2 hybrid to be able to see these beings. Okay. The more love you have in your heart, the more that you are in service to others and like loving others around you, the more you're in that beautiful, loving, euphoric state, the more you're going to see them. Like the easier you will be able to see them. They will be more solid in front of you. So here's the thing. They come down from the higher dimensions and you are going up. So you have to meet them halfway. And that's when you see them like this. So yes, you are seeing them on a higher dimension, but you're also seeing them on your dimension as well. So it's like,
Yes, because that was the story that I shared at the experiences group where I was left with those coins that were all magnetized in my pocket.
yeah.
My dad
Yep.
could pick them up 6 hours later, and myself too. We were cabinet makers. It's like this is like a series of 5 events that were happening to my entire family in 2 different locations, 350 miles apart, at the same time. So it was. And then my most profound experience I didn't even talk about. See, I actually know that God exists.
Yes.
I actually know that it's real because of what
Yes.
happened to me on December 26, 1982. I know for a fact that it's true what the Chinese talk about, the Zens and
That's
the one
right.
pure thought.
You got to hear
right.
this. Is amazing what happened.
This is absolutely the God's honest truth. Okay, I was, Paramahansa Yogananda has shown up twice in my life. Okay,
Wow.
and it's funny. I was reading his book of metaphysical meditations in 1979 when all these groups of things were happening to my family. Right, that was when the silver bell happened in the wall that my dad and my sister all heard, and then my mom and my brother. My mom heard a silver bell 350 miles away and picked up the telephone. So, anyways, the other time I was talking about when I was just in the military, but I was like on vacation to see my parents at Christmas time. I was 22 years of age, fit as a fiddle, could run a 5-minute mile without even thinking. I was studying Tai Chi. So, anyways, I did the Christmas meditation of Paramahansa before going to bed about 11:30 at night. This time in my life, I was sleeping on the floor. I just loved the feeling of sleeping on the floor. So I woke up at 4:44 in the morning. I know that because the VCR clock said 4:44, and I was just feeling really comfortable. And it's dark. It's January, of course. It's December, and I thought about God's love, and I remember thinking it in here and feeling it here, and I smiled, and it was just like I had one thought, and the thoughts came together like this, right here. And this inverted pyramid of blue-white light came down from like 1 billion miles away, hit me right here, and covered
in the third eye.
Yeah, and it encompassed my whole body in a cocoon of blue-white light. I was on the floor, and I was thinking, "Oh my God, what do I say? This is an ineffable experience." I thought, "Oh, now I understand why the masters in Tibet sit in diapers for 8 to 10 hours a day with smiles on their faces, because it's just what Paramahansa said. They are channeling the universal energy." And at that point, I thought, should I just leave my family, let my sister and brother, and just let them just do what they have to do and go to Tibet? Or should I and give up the military? Or should I continue being responsible?
And just go AWOL.
And I had 4 more years to do in the military, so I wasn't going to go AWOL. So, but anyways, it was that turning point. But and then 6 months later, my dad and I were going on a job site, and I was going through Psychology Today, and I saw the exact same thing that happened to me in the back of a magazine. Showed a man lying on his back with an inverted pyramid of multicolored light hitting him in the third eye, encompassing his whole body in this cocoon, and it said, "You can achieve enlightenment through the Rosicrucians." Well, I was never a Rosicrucian, okay? But I showed my dad. He says, "You're kidding me." He said, "You told me about that." I said, "Yeah, this is what happened to me, Dad."
Same thing happened.
But this is the God's honest truth. This actually, that's why I know that there's something more there.
Yes.
I know.
So earlier today, this connects to this. Earlier today, I heard the word Rosicrucian in my head, and I was like, "What is that, Rosicrucian?" So
there you go.
But so
that's
yes,
why.
I completely.
It was in
agree.
your future by about a half an hour, about an hour. Yeah.
It's the psychic stuff probably, but sometimes it is the Federation trying to give me little hints and stuff. Like they like to play games with me sometimes. And Give me little bits and pieces and give me a riddle. I hate it when they give me riddles.
The breadcrumbs.
Yeah, they're like, here, figure this out. But yeah,
Yes, I wish they would be more clear and come out in the
It's
open.
I think it's what we're ready for, like you said earlier,
Yes.
what we're ready for and what we can absorb and what we can believe,
I'm ready. I want disclosure.
I know, right?
I really, really want it. I would have been one of those kids that, holding up a sign and say, "Take me, please."
Yes.
I want us to care about the animals and the planet. When I was an acupuncturist, I enjoyed treating animals, dogs and cats, more than I did humans.
Yeah.
Because you get an honest reaction from an animal, from a dog.
Yes.
The dog either likes you or doesn't. A dog either gets better or it doesn't. And my best patients literally were dogs and cats.
Yeah.
They give you an honest reaction.
Yes,
They
they
roll,
do.
oh, my acupuncturist is here, and just roll over.
Yeah, they don't have all that other mental stuff going on affecting their
Right.
chakras and stuff. They're just pure animals, and they're just in existence. And I find myself communicating with animals telepathically more lately too,
Sure.
and I can communicate with them. It's beautiful. So I want to go a little bit into the God thing and expand on your experience and just validate your experience for everyone. So they have taught me what God is. Now, my whole life, I've always theorized. I drew theories out. I drew diagrams. Like, what is God? Is it like this layered? Is it like dimensions overlapping on each other? But once I got away from religion about 3 to 4 years ago, I started going inward. I started meditating, right? And that's when I started figuring out who I am and why I'm here. And then the answers came to me. It was clear as day. Right there, because I went inward for the answers. The answers are all inside of you. It is so beautiful. So everything and everyone is God. And I know I get a lot of hate for that. They're like, oh no, God is out there on a throne. He's watching and he's judging you and you have to do this and that. No.
It's literally true. We're all part
100%.
like a part of God's body, literally.
Yes.
100%.
Yes, and this is what the Federation teaches people. Like this is what they believe, the law of one. We are all one being. We are a fractaled out consciousness. Right now we're experiencing this right now, right? But then when you die, you go to your higher self, which is your complete soul, right? And you remember everything you've ever lived, and you choose which other life what's next life you want to go down and experience. But when
that's so. I remember in the Gnostic teachings, they said like the astrology. It's not what people think. It's not like the stars are changing you into being a Taurus or something.
It's the universe.
What we do as we're sort of grinding through the process of reincarnation, we sort of end up towards what our souls. In other words, it's kind of a reverse astrology.
Yeah, exactly.
We choose to be a Taurus, so to speak.
That's right.
You're self-identifying.
We're the ones that steer us into the next body.
That's right. So, like, when a soul experiences so many lives and reaches enlightenment, right? You become a higher dimensional soul, like a light being. You become more Christ-like, Christ consciousness, right. And there's certain teachers throughout history that were these type of star seeds, and like Jesus and Buddha and other ascended masters, and these were light being star seeds that have come here to help humanity at certain points in history. Now, yes, we are all God. So your higher self is connected to God itself. We are all God. So imagine it as a tree. The whole tree is God. The big limbs coming off of the tree are your higher selves. All of you, all of your higher selves. But the little limbs coming off of those big limbs are your lives that you're living. And you're all connected to the tree of God. We're all God. We have fractaled our existence, our awareness out. Right? So it's so beautiful and amazing. Now, here's another way to look at it. This is my favorite analogy. We are the painter and the painting. We, as a collective, create our reality, but we don't realize it from this perspective. We paint the canvas of the mountains and the galaxies and the planets and all the life. We paint that. We create that as our higher selves. But then we go into the painting and experience the painting. So it's like we are the painter and the painting. And what everything is a thought. We are a living, breathing thought. There is only the thought that goes on for infinity in all directions. And it's so beautiful. We are the dream. We are living in the dream, our own dream. That's the only thing that exists is us, our essence,
Yep.
our thought.
That's, you know what? I figured that out when I was 23, while I was sitting by a pool waiting for my ex-wife who was always late. And I was thinking about the Bible, and I was thinking about, there's be light and there's breath. And I thought, I was saying, this building couldn't have existed unless somebody had a thought to build this building.
Yeah,
Then I started taking it back. I started taking it back and back. Then nothing existed. So everything, actually, thought is more primal. Thought is more God than matter and energy. Thought is the reason that motivates matter and energy. Otherwise, it doesn't matter unless the thought and the imagination was there. None of this would exist.
I try and imagine
This is like, I agree, 100%.
like time is not a line.
No.
A lot of people think of time as just a line, and we have to go through it on a line. But I think of time as more like a sphere, with all the possibilities on the sphere, and
like
but we can only But and our little consciousness is threading its way around this sphere, and all we can perceive is this little thread of our movement through it. Yeah. But all of the possibilities are there. Everything exists. It's just that we can't perceive it. Yeah.
That's right. It's like, you ever watch Surprises, right? When that was they called Plonka or whatever, where they put the puck in there and it goes.
Where the thing comes down. Yeah.
Yeah. I always loved watching that thing. That was my favorite one back in the day.
Yeah.
But it's like that. You're switching timelines every fraction of a second. Everything exists. All possibilities exist all at once. But it's like your single awareness is only aware at certain like fractions of a second. Like this is how you manifest. When you go to center, when you clear your mind and start reaching for what you want, and just know that what you want in life or who you want to be will happen. Don't try to grasp and reach out for that. Just know that you're already there and it's coming to you. And you don't have to think about how it's going to happen. Don't think about that. Just know that it will happen and be in that present moment. That's how you manifest and surf the waves of infinite timelines.
That's a good point. Being in the moment, that's what the part of the essence of doing Tai Chi is. Because when you have to move that slowly, you have to be completely in the moment. In fact, when I was an acupuncturist, I used to teach my patients, I said, listen, I don't want to be seeing you for the rest of my life. I want to give you the tools so that you can take over and finish healing yourself. My purpose is to help you become not attached to, let's say, a government or a religion or a philosophy. I'm going to try and give you the tools so that you can be self-aware and you can heal yourself.
That's right. And I have some quotes here from the Bible. Now, I'm not one for quoting the Bible. Well, everybody knows that. But here's some important quotes that I want to read from the Bible you guys might really enjoy, and that all the listeners might enjoy as well. So Matthew 6:22-23. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light.
Wow.
Tell me that they're not talking about the third eye.
Of course,
definitely spiritual. Yeah.
I had not heard that one.
Yep. Genesis 32:30. So Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and yet my life is preserved. When you go inward, you will see God. You will know God. Luke 11:34. The eye is the lamp of your body. When your eye is healthy, your whole body is full of light. But when it is unhealthy, your body is full of darkness.
Very. That's direct. There's a quote I heard. It's not a quote, but there was this billboard that used to be up on the way to our house like about 20 years ago, and it was clever. It said, "No God, no peace. No God, no peace." So if you know God, you know peace. But if there's no God, you don't know peace. For like an individual, I thought it was very clever. The no for spellings.
Interesting. So yeah, I kind of want to reel it back all the way back to the beginning a little bit. So just a little bit of background, and just to let you know how I got to this point, how I got so connected with the Federation and everything. I've been seeing in the corner of my eye lately too. That very, they're constantly watching. So I've been seeing UFOs for 17 years, ever since I moved here in 2008, right? But a year and a half ago, they established dream communication with me. They telepathically started, like, it was almost like they were connecting wires in my brain. It felt like when I was asleep, it's like I literally was like, I felt them moving things around, and then it got clearer and clearer. And then I started talking to the Lyrans came to me a few times, and the Pleiadians still come to me. And there was one time, I joke about this. I love this one. So I had this being, I don't know what entity or what race it was, but they took my consciousness, like they shifted me, or they showed me, I think they just showed me in my mind. They took me to a place. It was like a beautiful planet with things flying around. And I was like, oh, that's beautiful. And he was standing on my right side, and I couldn't really look at him for some reason, but I heard his voice. And he said, you know, when you're talking about these things with people, you're turning their whole world upside down. So maybe go into it a little bit slower and evaluate the person. So ever since then, I
pick them up and shake them up.
Yeah, they know how I am, but I call them alien HR. That's kind of funny. Yeah.
Human resources. That's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, he's the galactic HR guy. I was in HR. I got in trouble. Just kidding. But yeah, that really happened though.
You're talking about the zapping thing about a year and a half ago?
Oh yeah, you got
that was happening to you? The zapping thing of your brain, like you had like electrodes?
Oh yes, it was. So the first time something happened in my dreams with them. So it was, I was asleep and I felt like they were literally, it was like they were putting different wires like in different connections in my brain. That's what it felt like. And maybe it was like an analogy, but I felt like they were working on the connections in my brain. And then I was on my bed in the front yard, the dream, and I saw Grays standing at the top of the hill. But in my mind, it's going to sound funny. In my mind, they were like I couldn't understand them, but it was like they were working on me to like tune me to hear them better. And then a little bit after that, I started getting communications from the Lyrans and the Pleiadians, and they were talking to me. And there was one time I was in a arts and crafts room, and I became lucid. And then when you become lucid, they are easier to communicate. They can come in a lot easier to communicate to you. So I was lucid, and I was playing with a hot glue gun. I was like, oh, well, cool. I'm going to make gold glitter come out of this gun, right? So I was just playing away. Then I heard a voice behind me, and he said, why do you love us so much? And immediately I knew it was them. I was like, oh my God. And I said, because you guys are amazing. You love us so much, and I'm just here to help you guys, and we're just here to help each other, and I have so much love. And they said, okay. And then there was another voice behind him, and he said, when are you going to start your movie? And I said, movie? What do you mean movie? What are you talking about? And then the other voice, he was like, she's not supposed to know about that yet.
They're working on a contract for you behind the scenes, you know?
Yeah. It's so funny you're talking about
the thing.
About the same time, about a year and a half ago, I had a very similar experience. I was in my bed, and then I was all of a sudden I was on a table, and I was being surrounded by about 4 or 5 tall, skinny beings, and they had my brain on a scanner. And they were actually physically zapping my brain. I could feel the physical zaps. And they're saying, you know, this guy knows a little bit too much.
Yeah,
and
we're going
to take a little bit of something out of his brain here. But yeah, and I saw like the tall beings kind of moving quickly behind me in the side. But it was literally like it was so real, you know, and it's just like they were zapping me, physically zapping, moving, working on my head and talking to me. And you know, again, having trouble seeing their faces, but they appeared like they probably were like gray or something like that. They were not Nordics, but they were probably grays, tall and skinny. And this happened, like I say, just a year and a half ago. It's one of, you know, many things that I don't write them all. I wish I'd written them all down, but I remember the more important ones.
I do the same thing. I need to start writing down the dates and times and everything.
Yeah, the dates and the times, exactly.
It's going to be terrible when I go to write my book.
Oh God. Yeah.
Stephen has a recurring dream.
Yeah.
And I should say this, Stephen's been trying to like shut them out. You know, we've been trying to like we haven't continued with the astral work. We haven't continued with the meditation.
Well, we haven't continued with the meditation. We still do chant. I still do chanting, but
in other words, he hasn't been fulfilling his mission, so to speak.
I haven't been
It seems like they're mad at him. A lot of times they get when he's with them, they're angry. And
sometimes, yes.
And tell her about their recurring dream. That was strange.
I've had this one that you talked about the humming that you feel, the humming or the buzzing.
Yes, the vibrates.
I've had this recurring thing that happens maybe over the past 25 or 30 years, probably 30 years. It starts out with an audible hum when I'm in my bed, and then I can feel it in my body.
Yep.
And then the next thing you know, I'm either in the backyard, it's always twilight, or I'm at the beach. And I'm watching this like airplane go over at twilight time. And then it slowly becomes more and more that it comes over again, and you can hear it. And it becomes more and more UFO-like. And then sometimes it turns into just like a saucer. And then it will land sometimes, and a being will come out. This most recent time, this being was tall again and skinny, maybe a little bit more mantis, maybe gray, but it was saying, he was really ticked off at me. He says, I'm going to hit you with 1 billion volts or something like that, unless you change something. And my mom and a couple of friends were there and whatever. And we sat down at the table afterwards, and we were having a deep conversation. I said, do you saw that, right? This isn't a dream, right? I said, oh, yeah, I saw it. Well, what do you think it was? Think there's more of them? And I think my mom said, no, I think there's only just one of them. But anyway, so it was just like we were writing down information. We were just sitting like we are now. It was that real. But this is something that has recurred. It always recurs the same way. It starts with a hum, then it's the vibration, and then it's the visuals. Okay, and it slowly becomes more and more of an alien spacecraft.
I don't know.
We seem to be getting from different sources. We seem to be getting almost like they're stepping up their
message
and their frustration levels seem to be coming through more. It seems like whenever the threat level for war increases, that their stress levels increase too.
Yes, absolutely. And this is what the United Experiencers is all about. And we got about 15 minutes probably left. So we can go more into that because it ties right into the United Experiences Initiative.
Yeah.
This is why I got a $3,000 loan to go to California. Here's the thing. Let me start from the beginning. So me and some friends, we all collectively had the same idea to start a 501c3 for experiencers, right? And one of them is still with us in that, and the other one was to remain behind the scenes a little bit. But I didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing. I just knew they were calling me to start an organization to help experiencers, and I was like, okay, let's do it, right? And then about maybe a month later, I got a vision in my dream, and they said there was a plane flying over, and it was pulling a message behind it, and it said, have you been to the desert lately? And it had coordinates behind it. I couldn't remember the coordinates when I woke up, but I knew it was very important. I was standing in the desert, and the plane was flying over. Have you been to the desert lately? And I was like, wow, that's a very profound vision. I know the difference between a vision and a dream. I know when they're trying to tell me something. So I logged that up.
Right.
And then about another month later, I've already had this established at that point. I had the symbol. They gave me the symbol, by the way.
Yes, we have one of your cards for sure, and our audience can see that.
Yeah, I'll move it bigger. Yeah.
It's reversed.
There you go.
Yeah.
Everybody remember that.
United Experiencers Initiative. For those who can't quite see it.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll see it in the future too. You'll see it all over the world. This is a big thing.
I like that logo.
Thank you. They appreciate that. So the triangle comes into a lot of organizations that represent experiencers, anything to do with the phenomenon. Triangle is always a prominent thing. And from what I understand, the triangle is the mind, body, spirit connection.
Yes, it is actually.
Yeah, that's So anyway,
sorry, but we should get in our last little mini break here, right?
Let's just have a break.
We're almost
for a
done.
moment. So we'll be back in a few minutes with our wonderful guest, Nadalee Hill. Hi, I'm Leslie Shaw, And I'm here to tell you about the incident that happened. My husband and I got married on my birthday. So we were celebrating both my birthday and our anniversary camping at Whitewater Campground. And the bank called me and said, "Are you spending all your money in a Texas Walmart right now?" And it's like, "Oh, no, we are not." And they had drained everything out of our account but 86 cents. That's all we had. And at the time, that was our only bank account. And so we were kind of stuck. And fortunately, the bank was great. And they said that they would refund it, our money, between 5 and 9 business days later. So I was trying to figure out what to feed us for that time period. So I remember opening the pantry going, what am I going to make? And then I'm a stained glass artist, and I had several pieces in a gallery at the time, and one of them sold, and we just got lucky. And I remember it was almost $300, and we were able to go grocery shopping with it and at least feed us for the week it took. And the bank was great. It only took the 5 days, and we didn't have to wait the whole 9. But I would rather it didn't have to happen at all. And we're back, everyone.
Good.
Yes. With our wonderful guest, Nadalee Hill. Thank you again for everyone staying tuned. We really appreciate it. Nadalee, tell us a lot more about this, your experiences. We only touched on a couple of your abduction experiences, but I'd really like to hear more about that too. And what other kind of types of aliens you've been in contact?
Okay, so let's see. Let's go over my first abduction last year, which was my first one that I ever remembered. Like actually, like after it was over, like I was like, oh, that's a turning point right there in my life.
Right.
So it was in the middle of the night, and my whole body was vibrating, and I was vibrated out of my body about 2 or 3 feet above the bed. And I was facing, like, I was turned around, I was facing my body, and I was like, oh, wow, look at that. And I was just, like, very calm the whole time. I was relaxed, and then they flipped me back up, and then I saw the ceiling, and then they flipped me around this way, and then this way. It was almost like they were calibrating me or checking me or something. But then all of a sudden, I just black out. And then I'm standing in this dark room, and all these gray fingers, like long extra joints on their fingers, very long gray fingers. They were all just feeling me up or checking my aura body or whatever, but I felt them touching me. And I was like, oh, this is normal. This is like a checkup. It's just like I've done this before.
Like a physical or something, right?
Yes. And then I blacked out. And then I woke up in a chair, and it was a dark room again. And I heard a voice on my right side, and he said, "We're going to drill your leg now." And I said, "Okay." I was just so docile. I didn't really care about anything.
Interesting, on your right side all the time. Interesting.
Yeah, it's on my right side. So he came up to my upper right leg with the drill, and in my mind, I remember it. I don't know if it was exactly like that, but I remember it as like a drill from like a tool shop, like from a tool. But he came close to my leg, my upper right leg, and then he started drilling into my leg, and I was like, "Oh, look at that!" I was like, "That's happening," and that's the thing. Were
they putting in an implant? Do you think, or
I don't know. So here's the thing: like I still firmly believe I was out of body, so maybe it was a test, or maybe they were it was a metaphor for them working on my energetic body, and that's the way my mind interpreted it, but. As he was drilling, I was just like, oh, it didn't hurt, it didn't sting or anything, and I thought it was really cool. I've seen doctors sew my arm up. I like to watch that kind of stuff, and I've taken my own stitches out before. It doesn't gross me out or nothing. But
I think it's cool too. Yeah.
But as he got to my bone, I started getting a little hyperventilated, a little anxious, and he was like, "Shh, it's okay." And then I passed out. And then I found myself in another room, another dark room. And I was in a chair, and there was a table in front of me and the chair on the other side. Now, in my mind, it was like a wooden chair, but I knew it was probably wasn't wood. But this woman comes in on my left side. She's got poofy red hair, like a roundish face. I don't remember what exactly her facial details or her eyes or anything. It's very fuzzy. But she comes in on my left side and she comes around and sits in front of me, across from me in the other chair facing me. And then she asked me a series of questions. And at the time, I did not know what the questions were. And then I blacked out and woke up in my body and woke up in the morning and I was like, holy crap, that was not a dream. I was literally taken out of my body last night. And it was a lot to process. But now, after some time, after digesting that, I understand what the questions pertain to. Not exactly like what they were, but what they pertain to. It was pertaining to the UEI, the United Experiences Initiative. They were seeing if I was ready for the next step to start the organization, because a little bit after that, that's when I was inspired to do that and felt the calling to do that, and then they gave me the symbol. So they were seeing if I was ready for the next step in my mission. And earlier I mentioned, they said, when are you going to start your movie? I understand now. They see life as a movie. Everything is a play, right? So they were saying, when are you going to get your life together? When are you going to do the mission?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it all comes around. But the United Experiences Initiative it's going to be more than an international nonprofit. It's a movement, not just for experiencers, but for the world, because experiencers and all of us are going to come together to encourage everyone to love themselves and love each other. That's the key point here, to work on yourselves so you can help the planet, so we can be on that good timeline. And we're going to be doing so much more stuff. I'm actually writing a bill to put into Congress trying to get it passed to help experiencers be protected in the workplace. So if you come out in the workplace, businesses can't retaliate and fire you over that. So we need that protection. We need that foundation, first of all, for us to come forward and start teaching and helping people. So there's that. And then we're also going to develop schools around the world to teach psychic abilities and teach good spiritual health, mental health. The list goes on and on. We advocate for all positive things and dissolving 9-to-5 jobs. And we're going to
I fully agree with, is that children should be being taught spiritual practices as well as just ABCs.
Yeah, even the recent statistics as far as young teenagers between X age and X age, about 1 in 6 will have psychological discord in their life, either anxiety or suicidal tendencies or anger issues. It's becoming just so overwhelmingly prevalent in our society. It has to be dealt with.
It's a runaway thing. It's awful, and it starts with the youth. It starts with them, because they are the foundation for the next generation, the future. They are our future. Now, the United Experiences Initiative is only one part of a whole. We're not saying that we're going to do all of it. We are just one cog in the machine. We are just one cell in the multicellular organism. You also have Citizens for Disclosure. You have the CERO with Yvonne Smith. You have other organizations. I can't think of the other names right now, but
MUFON, of course.
Yeah, MUFON. Yeah, that's another important one. We are all doing our part within this multicellular organism. But none of these organizations are representing and uplifting and protecting experiencers, like on a global scale. And it's time that we come together. And if any of you out there are listening right now and you feel a call to do something for humanity, if you want to help, please join us. We need all the help we can get. But that's all I'm going to say about the UEI. But going back to my other experiences. Now, I had this one, it's fuzzy. I don't know when I was on the ship. I know I was on the ship at some point, and I had my hand on this female. She's like a Pleiadian gray hybrid, and she has big blue eyes, about the size of avocados. Very beautiful. I love her so much. I can't explain the love and the connection that I have with her. It's something beyond what you can experience here on this planet with another human. It's
like it permeates every cell somehow.
Yes,
when you're in these this state of consciousness, I call it.
Yeah. It comes from the heart, like we said earlier. It comes from the heart chakra. It just surrounds it. It radiates through your body when I think about this love and there's just anyway. She's got blonde hair, big blue eyes, about the size of avocados. She's so beautiful. But I had my hand on her head, and I was just like, petting her head. That's what I do. I do that to my girlfriend here. I pet her. But she said, no, no, no. And this was like during a dream, but it was more like a vision coming back to me, like or a memory that was coming back. But I was laying there with her, and I had my hand on her head doing that, and she took my hand by the wrist and she put it on her belly, and I was in shock, and it blew me away. I was like, oh my God, I have, like, that's our child. I felt the life within her belly, and it was
You're still moved by it to this day, huh?
It was
wow.
It was just so beautiful, and I just knew that we were going to have a baby, and I'm pretty sure she's born at this point now. She's got big blue eyes, and I can see her. I know I could feel her, and I can see her. She's so beautiful, so divine.
And she's a part of you, you believe?
Yes, absolutely. And I think I don't know how to explain it, but I think it's more than genetics. It's like a soul connection, like a spark, the fractal of my soul or something. I don't know, but it's beautiful. It's
people have to understand this. They have to, like, say, experiencers, I think, have been so much kind of like a little bit too fringy, but that's the fringe is going to become like over 50% at a certain point, because people are going to start to realize that there had things have been that I cannot explain.
I know the phenomenon was fringy enough already until then, when we realized there's an enormous psychic connection to the whole phenomenon too. I thought, oh my God, it's going to be even fringier now,
Now, there's a couple books that I would suggest viewers read or listen to. One is the Dual Soul Connection by Susie Hansen. Highly recommend the Dual Soul Connection by Susie Hansen. Highly recommend reading that book. It will connect a lot of dots for you. And she's a I don't know how you say it exactly, like a key holder. Like, she awakens people in certain things. So that book that she wrote, was guided. She was guided to write it by the ETs, by the Greys. So there's a lot of stuff in that book. When you listen to it or read it, it will unlock stuff inside of you, and you will be activated. It's an activation book. So yes, highly recommend that book. Another one I recommend, if you're just getting into abductions and you want, like, the meat and potatoes, you want the data, right? John E. Mack's book, Abductions. Highly recommend John E. Mack's book and all of his work. Anything to do with John E. Mack. He was a brilliant man.
I believe we've read that one, right?
Yep, you probably have.
We haven't read Susie Holder's yet, though.
Yeah, Susie
Dual
Hansen.
Soul Connection?
No,
yeah,
not the
Susie
Dual.
Hansen.
We haven't read that one.
Yep, highly recommend it. It's a short. I think it's a short read. I think you guys will absolutely love it. She talks about the beings turning into orbs on the ships, and like how the orbs and all that's connected, and how you wake up in other bodies sometimes up there and you do work, and like all that stuff. It explains all of that whole dual soul connection type thing, and it's a whole nother part of the whole story that I think
aren't orbs like this, like spy things? Like they
could be souls.
Philip, his brother, used to have this little orb that would peek in his windows and kind of go up and down his deck, of his house, and keep looking in his. It's almost like they was keeping tabs on him.
One went through him one day and left a mark.
Yeah, he went outside to confront the orb one day. He was afraid of him. He was hiding inside, and finally he got up the gumption or enough beer or something.
He had enough beer in him. Yeah.
He decided to go outside and confront it. So he's standing at one end of the deck confronting it, and the orb is at the other end of the deck, and then suddenly it charges him and rushes through his body. It goes right through his body and comes out the other side. And
his right shoulder.
And we happened to be staying in the area at the time. The next morning, he told us about it, and he said he pointed to his back where it came out, and sure enough, there was a bruise, a slight bruise where apparently the orb came out.
Shape,
Wow,
it
that's
went
amazing.
into his chest and out of the back of his neck.
My brother was a type of personality type that taught calculus for fun at a college level as a side job to make more money, right? But he was like a draftsman and engineer, so he was, he never really had a regular relationship as far as like in life.
He had a lot of early trauma with the abduction phenomenon.
Yeah.
He didn't cope with it well.
Yeah.
And unfortunately ended up committing suicide in a grisly murder suicide. I felt like we were on Forensic Files.
Yeah,
he
killed his 2 cats, then he killed my mom, then he killed himself. So.
Yeah, but we feel like he was a brilliant man, and but he just had PTSD from it for his whole life, and it was very tragic in our case.
In our case, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so sad. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you very much. We really are at the maximum time limit right now.
One more thing I want to go over, and then we'll end it.
Okay.
So this is a little bit about like what you were talking about, the orbs and the technologies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to explain all of this. Everybody's like, what's an orb? What's an orb? An orb, like you said, Stephen, is a soul. It's a soul without a body. Now, some of these ETs can shift their form into a soul because they're in a higher vibration. They can literally go from an orb back to a physical or back to a representation of a body. Now, light beings from the higher dimensions can come down as orbs and embody in the 3D for a short amount of time. And this is what people call angels when they come at certain times in people's lives. If they're trapped in a building or a car or an accident, and they hold their hand until paramedics get there, and then they disappear. And when the paramedics get there and they're like, who was that? And they were like, there was nobody there.
Steve's had 2 of those in his life.
Yeah, I've had 2 of those in my life. Yeah.
Light being, congratulations. Those are light beings. Those are what people call angels. Now, the technology, consciousness, it all ties together, right? So on the ship, the light coming from within the ship and off of the ship, the light that you see is literally God source consciousness.
Wow.
Let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah.
That is ships are alive with God source consciousness.
I've always felt like they were alive somehow, the ship itself.
They taught me this directly, and I have a theory on how it works, but they haven't taught me the technical details and stuff. But I have a feeling it's like some kind of metamaterial, artificial microtubule that channels consciousness and frequencies in a way that allows the conscious field of reality to interact with metamaterial. I wrote a paper about it. As beside the fact, so yes, when you're on the ship, the pilots connect their consciousness. They fly the ships with their mind because God connects to them on the ship.
And that's why we can't reverse engineer their technology, because you actually have to have the consciousness level necessary to fly the ship, right?
Right. And if you hear some whistleblowers, they're talking about this. They said certain neurodivergent people, certain people with certain levels of consciousness can operate the ships. Like, they have said this.
Right.
And there's been a lot of other stuff coming out, and but that's the key factor in this, is there's a conscious element to this. And if we had to sum up this whole show and the whole reality and everything, think of Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, and magic, which is consciousness, all wrapped up into one. That is reality. And it's time for people to wake up of what reality we live in and get a grip. Get a grip.
Let's start with the young people, because they still have a chance.
Yes, that's right.
Some people think we shouldn't have disclosure because it would be so disruptive. Like, the stock market would crash, every religion would freak out, etc. And I agree. I think that really could be quite disruptive.
That's the fear modality.
But I still think we should rip the Band-Aid off and go through whatever we have to do to recover afterwards.
Maybe it starts with the Vatican, the Vatican Library.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hear that, our audience?
Yes. I'm so mad at them. They first of all, they stole everything from the Inca, their all of their documents and their papers, and
the Mayans,
and they either they destroyed them or they stole them and then just sequestered them.
Wow!
Or they melted them down. The Mayan calendar,
why?
After another. I think there should be like a class action lawsuit from,
that wouldn't work.
From all the countries of the world that their history is locked up in library.
We just, I don't know if I should say this publicly, but storm the gates. Let's storm
the gates, yeah.
Storm the gates, right? I don't want to be on a list or anything.
No, you don't want to be down on that list. No.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'm already...
You know those weird costumes the Vatican Guard wear? You know, they look like they belong in a circus almost. You know, it's like so not intimidating. It's supposed to be intimidating, right? It's so not. They look like circus performers.
All right. Okay. We've gone down that now.
Sorry about that tangent there, but
you're fine.
I also heard you on your podcast talking about Bigfoot. Now, we believe that there's a definite connection to the UFO phenomenon and Bigfoot.
Yes. That may be for the next show, Leslie.
Well, let's just get that last part.
I can answer that, and then we'll go.
All right.
I know there's so much stuff we could talk about. I could talk to you guys for days. So here's the thing. The Bigfoots, the precursors to Bigfoot, was the original hominid on this planet. And then the Anunnaki came. There's a whole story there. Plus, I have a really good juicy theory. We'll go into part 2. If anybody is listening, please tune into part 2. You're going to want to hear this. But the Anunnaki came. They altered our DNA to mine gold or do stuff for them, right? That's the first hybrid human. That's hybrid type 1. Now, we come from Bigfoot. They found the Bigfoot, and they are the precursor to Bigfoot, and they made us. And then the ones that were left over evolved into Bigfoot, and then we were created 200,000 years ago. If you look at the DNA, they found evidence of this. The chromosomes, so 2 and 7, am I correct? 2 and 7 were changed very specifically in a way to where we connects our tongue to our jaw, to our brain, so we can communicate and have,
it's also the ability to imagine.
Exactly.
It's a big difference between Homo erectus and Homo sapien.
Yeah, Jason Martell's work definitely confirmed that the 2 to 300,000 year mark that they showed, like the messing around with Broca's brain and the changing of those number 2 and 7 on the actually human DNA is really simple. It's only 4 base pairs. It's not that hard to change. There are other beings on this planet that have more base pairs than we do. So it's like base 4. It's not that hard.
That's right. That's right. And I think you're going to enjoy the whole Anunnaki theory that I have based on the ancient texts. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot to go down in the next episode, but I think you guys
we're definitely going to schedule a part 2, everyone, with our wonderful guest.
Part 2.
Yes, part 2. And because I wanted to go into the whole thing with well, anyway, like I said,
we'll do it next time.
I know. It's so easy. It's so easy to just keep going. I love it.
I know it is. I know, but
after about an hour and a half, we start to get. We're in a closet. We're in like a walk-in closet. We start to get late.
We're in a sauna. We're in a glorified sauna.
Yeah, I can only take so much before I start cramping.
Yeah, I understand. This has been amazing.
What would you like?
Thank you very much.
So let's wrap up our show tonight and plug whatever you want to plug. Tell our audience where they should go, what they should listen to.
Okay. So if you want to get in contact with us and get involved with the United Experiencers Initiative, you can contact me at 423-389-4463, and we'll also put that in the description. And you can send me an email at contact.theuei@gmail.com. We have a Discord. Send me an email or a text, and I'll send you the Discord link, and you can join the Discord. The website is still under construction, but we're going to get it completed. But if you feel a calling to do something, join us. We need all the help we can get. Right now, we need a lot of professional help. We need a lot of people who are educated in business and politics as well. A little bit of politics, that would be great. I was told by the ETs and given visions of me representing the UEI in Congress, and I'm going all the way. And I'm going to be a public speaker on national television, and it's going to be a long, long road. But they've been telling me that my life's about to change. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. So,
all right. Very
wonderful.
Good.
Thank you so much for being our guest tonight, Natalie.
We'll be as much help as we can for you and the cause.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Federation appreciates you. I appreciate you. That you guys have a divine rest of your night. I love you all so much. Everyone listening, I love you all so much. Mwah.
Love you back. Big old heart chakra throb right here.
Here's my mudra for you.
Boom, 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 boom.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Namaste. And good night to all our wonderful listeners. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody.